Okay, this is a short video on finding joist location under a plywood floor. Now normally you could check by looking at the nail holes where the joists where the plywood's been nailed into the joist, but this plywood floor has a 1/4 inch underlayment on top of 5/8 inch plywood. And there's no real direct access to see where the joists are. Now there was linoleum on this bathroom floor, and I'm putting in tile. And so the idea on this is that the linoleum doesn't need as rigid a foundation as the tile. On the tile, I want to have the subfloor screwed into the joist just to be secure. The plywood is only 5/8. Some people might recommend 3/4. This underlayment is 1/4. And so the idea is I want to do the best I can with what I have. All I can tell for sure on this is that I can see the nails of this underlayment where it's been nailed into the joint, the subfloor. Okay. So anyway, I checked, tried a few things to find these joists. I did try using my old stud finder. It won't really work on the floor. The density of the floor may be thicker than the gypsum wall. This is from the 80s, but it still works on my walls, more or less. It's not a perfect sort of a tool, but it does kind of, you can do it if you stick with it. I didn't have any luck. It would not calibrate on this material. I assume it's because it's just denser, I guess, or overall thicker, whatever. Second thing I tried was I used this hammer technique. When you hit the hammer, you should... So it does kind of work. You get a hollow sound, but you do not get a hollow sound when it's over the joist. I used this to roughly determine kind of where the joists were at. And then I drilled some pilot holes. And the hammer was right in terms of where it picked them. Now this is what I did with the pilot holes. First I set a drill to be just a little bit deeper than what would be required to get into the joist. I didn't want to drill down through the deck any deeper because I don't want to hit anything by accident, of course. Now, I would drill through something by that amount, and then I would check it with a little wire to see if it's hollow because it goes in, too far, or if it's solid, which is to say it's hitting the joist. Then I just did it with about a 1 inch spacing, and then once I got the transition from a solid to a hollow, I did an extra 1.5 inch to try to more accurately get the center line of where the joist would be. And I found a couple of joists where it looks like they had doubled them up because I had about a 2.5 inch span of where I was getting a solid hit, and on some of them I only got about a 1 inch where I would get a solid hit. So that's probably a single joist, and probably there's a double joist there now. As long as it's solid and there's a joist, I don't care if it's single or double. I'm just going to screw into it. Okay. I was able to find some screws in my collection of screws. I had a screw here from my father-in-law's old screw collection. It looks like some type of galvanized deck screw, so. And this is we'll go through the 1/4 inch of underlayment, the 5/8 inch of the subfloor, and then it has about 3/4 of an inch left to go into the joist. So this I thought was pretty good. There's no point going too far into the joist because it's going to hold okay, and the deeper you go, you just increase the chance of hitting something that you didn't want to hit. I have these 1 1/4 inch ones from my own collection. It's a little bit shorter. My plan was to use these not in the joist area, but in the so-called field area to further screw down the underlayment. The underlayment has been nailed into the deck about every 6 inches, so it's a lot of nails, but I want the screws just to give me a little extra security that I have something firm for the tile, and I don't want to put down another layer of plywood, for example. I want to get away with making it simple and also kind of using materials I have on hand to get that done. And what I'm finding is that the screw is going pretty easy. This one is actually, that was a drill hole, so I don't want to do it. I'm not actually probably going to try to drill it here because I've just got one hand. But anyway, when the screw goes through the underlayment and it first hits the plywood, the subfloor is a little bit harder, so it takes more force to dig in, and as the screw continues to turn, it actually starts lifting the underlayment up slightly before it starts penetrating into the subfloor in some cases, and that shows you that the bond between this underlayment and the subfloor is not 100%, because in some areas it'll kind of do that, in some areas it won't, but in all cases the screw does settle in okay. I've already done a couple of rows. There's one where I kind of overdid it a little bit. I was adjusting the torque setting on the drill. It's got this setting for torque, and I've got it set at now at 9, because at 8 it'll stop turning, before it heads down below the surface. So 9 is the lowest setting that will penetrate down below the surface, because I don't want these to stick out. Obviously I want them to be down below the surface, so that's just what's happening here. So thank you. That's all for now.